we will see.
Now there's a
So
nice item to find early.
Yes, it helps us in our routing. Loot is always nice to have. And I was guessing Gumby will do a Aga check, but he doesn't. So we got 3 more checks here. We can check the bush grab. We can, as we can see, there are $5 on mushroom spot. And we got a little bit of love in Lost Woods Hideout. Gumby decides to collect more rupees, so he gets enough money to buy some bombs and also to buy the item from the bottle vendor.
And I thought Shred was going to go up and do an Aga check, but he was just checking the bush grab, and he's heading to the village as well. So it looks like that item will remain a mystery for a little while.
Yeah, makes sense because we don't have boots and we can't check it. Oh, and we are lucky here in Kakariko Well, we found some bombs. LPShred decides to buy bombs. Makes sense because you don't have the knowledge about the items in Well or Hideout and you don't know if you get some bombs there or not. We found a cape and we found Philippus.
Cape is always one of those items you worry about finding early. It's way too early to tell, but it's got to put in the back of your mind that it could end up being an Aga climb later on. We'll see.
That's true. But for Hello Hookshot, no scam today on Bottle Vendor.
Well, that's going to open up a lot up on Death Mountain since they can food up there. So let's see how quickly we have either of our runner go check out what's over in Paradox.
That's true, and the thing is, with the flute, the mountain is in logic. You can also decide to rescue the old man. Next checks will be library and race game. Goodbye library, it was nice to meet you. And nothing here.
So it looks like Gumby's going to go and do some of the South Shore checks first. Not a bad call, plenty of density down here.
Makes sense, and we got a magic on LPShred's side. We got crystals on Desert and Isan and Blue Pendant Hera. Hello, Bugnet.
Goodbye, Bugnet. Gumby doesn't want to have anything to do with that.
I mean, it's not really required. Yes, can be helpful to fill some ferries and bottles, but you only really need it in sortless modes. So we got some divergence here.
Mini Moldworm, unfortunately, having nothing of real value, and they're just a little bit of money. Yeah, it looks like we got Ether, yes, in the back of Escape.
Yeah, and we also found the map and small key. This will mean there is an item in the Dark Cross. Now more divergence here. Shred the size for eastern area.
I think that's what's neat about early Flute. You get so much divergence because you can get anywhere pretty fast at this point.
And we got 300 bucks in Agina's cave. Our green pendant is ice. And here is the moon pearl. So Shred decides to not dip eastern. Makes sense.
We're gonna go for that mountain play. Pretty good idea with having already a glove in Moon Pearl. We're really only another glove or hammer away from some Dark World access, and maybe one of them's up here.
Yes, that's true. Okay, that was the hole. Okay, only one try for the old man. Rescue without having a sword. Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah, it looks like Gumby's checking all the water checks because he's got enough money to do Zora, so he's probably going to be heading in that direction after looking at what the hobo has under the bridge.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, after hobo you can float back to 8 and check the complete Zora area. Oh no, and Shred died on Dark Death Mountain, not Dark Death Mountain, on Death Mountain.
Now, a 3-heart Death Mountain is pretty tricky still, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge to navigate up there if you get some rough RNG with the cabbages.
Yeah, and the next thing is we are so on green mail, so every dead rock deals 1 hard damage.
Well, now let's see if Shred decides to do some divergence and check something else first. Just kind of struggling to get through that first part of Death Mountain up there this time. And it looks like that's what's happening.
And we just got the info from Mr. Angry Pants. Old man is always in his caves and he can still fill your hearts up.
Yeah, when I saw him walk by at 1 heart, I was hoping he was going to stop in there and get that refill just to help get through the rest of Death Mountain, but that didn't end up happening.
So piece of lava and Sorrelage, and what will we get for 500 bucks today? Is it scam or not? We will see in a few. No, just 20 bucks.
Zora's given a life lesson today.
Okay, also Gumby died on Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, this Death Mountain is just not taking... it's just taking everyone out as they're trying to come through. That 3-heart Death Mountain is so tough.
Yeah, it's hard, it's not easy, but... And at the moment, Death Mountain make his name all honor.
Well, Gumby is going to at least get up to the top so we can see what's in and on Spec Rock. So let's see what we end up getting here. Oh, there's her sword on top of Spec Rock. We can't get it unless there's a mirror right here. No luck.
But hey, we know we got a sword for Mirror. You want the sword? Okay, give me it first. First you need the mirror.
Well, let's see if Gumby can get over into Paradox, and we'll see how deep this mirror ends up being in this seed. But yeah, it's good to know it's there.
So, and finally we will get a first look into Paradox Cave. Hello, sword!
Okay, well now we know where the Master Sword could be. This is good. That's a great find for Gumby, considering that Shred unfortunately struggled to get over to that side a couple times. And there's our Dark World access with the mitts. Very good.
We also got half magic. We have found boots.
Now, Paradox certainly was the destination to go in, just a little bit challenging for our runners to get there at first.
Shred, what are you doing? Is he thinking about to do a holy hand?
That's what it's looking like to me. Set up the bomb. Let's see if
Yeah.
they get it. Very good.
Yeah. Collecting some money for Zora makes sense.
Yeah, I personally am more comfortable with the Houlihan, closer to the Witch's Hut, but since they already have flippers, they're not able to drop it and do that, so this was a good option.
Talking about money, there are 300 more bucks on Floating Island.
Yeah, safe to assume we'll be skipping that money on Floating Island then, because by the time they get access to that, they'll probably be in pretty good shape with money.
And chat is catching it up. Gumby, you have boots, please use it.
Usually that's me late in the seed, where I forget that I got him after not having him for so long and just don't hit the button. But yeah, that would be really good to get into the habit of doing. There we go.
Yes. Now he will do King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks into Dark World.
That's what my guess is that's what he's doing. So just some bombs in King's Tomb, but probably going to do exactly what you said, Bonk Rocks into Dark World.
Maybe. Also possible that we see maybe Lumberjack.
Yeah, with the boots in hand, might not be a bad idea just to scout whether or not there is something important there.
Okay. Shred remembers he got a cape, he used it just to be safe. And he's not going to the Dark World. This will be now Castle. Makes
Yeah, I
also
mean,
sense.
there are 4 items in here, I believe, right? Because we already saw the map and the small keys. So there's a chance this move could be really good, but there's probably a lot more density going to Dark World at this point. But let's see what he finds.
I mean, it's every runner's decision. Will you do Castle now or will you do it later if there is some progression, and you do it late, you will bite yourself in your ass. That's the thing.
Well, Shred got to Paradox, got their first sword, and now they'll get the rest of the goodies up on the top.
And Chat is also catching it up. Gumby is missing his moon pearl from back of Sahasrara. He was never in the eastern area.
Well, the good news is we haven't seen the lamp yet, so that doesn't put Aga in logic. So they're probably going to eventually get over there to check that. It's just a matter of how long will it take. And ooh, we just saw a bow in escape on Gumby's side, so this could end up being a really big play.
Yes, and this will bring him hopefully to his moon pearl. He's setting up. Gumby is setting up a death warp.
Yep, looks like he's gonna go ahead and check Dark Cross before looking at some other things, which we know there's an item there, so get it out of the way and then you're done with the castle.
There is only one room I'm afraid. It's the small room with the snakes, but we got Ether, we got Bombers, so it should be an easy one. Hello, Dark Mountain.
Yeah, so Shred can go right in and start checking stuff up here in the Dark World because they had the Moon Pearl when they came up to Death Mountain. So let's see what we find up here. We got Super Bunny Cave and we have Hookshot Cave that can be fully cleared out, and we can find out what Turtle Rock requires to open, and at some point we'll probably get a map check.
Hopefully we'll get a map check. Dark Cross was nothing, just 3 blueberries.
Alright, so now we're going to hope that Gumby starts to make their way towards Eastern, since if they're comfortable with the dark rooms there, it's not only clearable, but then on the way they can get their pearl from the, yep, that's where they're heading. Okay, so that's good.
Is he throwing up 2 set of spin speed? Okay, it was not successful. We got our first bottle. And now finally Dark World access for Gumby. He is... What is he doing now? Rescuing the old man.
And Shred bombed his way back to in the back of Hookshot Cave, but doesn't have a mirror to even get the item on top, which we know is just 300 rupees anyway, so they're not missing much. And it looks like we need Ether, which they already have, to open up Turtle Rock.
Yes, but we miss a hammer to open the portal. So, as we can see, we got Pendant, Swamp, we got the reds on Pot and Skull Woods.
So we do know that later on that Ether is absolutely required to get into Turtle Rock since it's a crystal dungeon. But yeah, we can't do it yet, but at least it's good to know that that's already in our pockets. So Gumby getting the same information. It's going to go through the same checks that Shred just did, going through Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave. I wonder how comfortable these runners are with some of the dark rooms, because with already having that bow, I was kind of surprised to not see that Eastern play. But we'll see how long it takes for either runner to get back there. Well, Shred needs to find the bow first and escape, but we'll see where we're going from here.
I mean, talking about dark rooms and talking about Eastern, I mean, the way to the big key chest shouldn't be a problem for both runners, but the challenge is the Dark Igor without any fire source.
Yeah, exactly. I know that when I'm in there, that's always one of the harder ones to do. I mean, there are a couple strats that are real nice for it, but if the comfort level's not there, then they're going to look elsewhere to see what they can find.
And now we will get a look on Lumberjack. Is there some progression or not? It's the Ice Rod.
Well, if you wanted an Agaseed, everyone, we're here for it.
Yes. So, Agaseed is confirmed. There is the Ice Rod. We got 10-6 from Sekit.
There is a really great point in chat from a little while ago that this is a possibility of a seed that might end up being mirrorless, since we do have a Pendant Swamp.
That's true.
All right, so Shred comes down into the Village of Outcasts, gonna probably check these 3 locations, and I won't be surprised to see a Thieves Town play here. No hammer in sight, but it's probably not a bad risk to hope that that big chest just doesn't contain anything important, so we'll see what happens.
So now our tracker Sexora is calling it up there to Castle Tower for fire source. And I was pretty sure it was not the fire source, it was the Ice Rod. Was it the ice or was it the fire rod? This is the question for now.
Apparently, fire rod is what we're being confirmed with in chat. So, it was a little bit tough to see, honestly. So, because it was a quick glance, so everyone's saying fire. Okay, then it looks like we had a fire rod there, which that might mean that agate play will happen a little bit sooner.
Would make sense.
It'll be interesting to see if either of these runners are comfortable with the dark agate play. I know that's one of the harder climbs, but that certainly would be an interesting play if someone happens to be comfortable with that. But if not, it looks like we're going to be looking for that lamp before we can get up to that fire rod.
And we got a fetch quest on Bumper Ledge. It's a shovel.
Oh, doesn't everyone love a good fetch quest?
Everybody loves a fetch quest.
Yeah, indeed, Drew is just not a very healthy seed so far. Just a handful of hearts, both on green mail. And it's been a little bit of a challenge. They had to traverse Death Mountain with only 3 hearts to get their progression in Paradox. So yeah, it's been a little challenging to start.
Yeah, but this is rando. But we have a red goo. And talking about confidence, I'm pretty sure both runners will clear Seastown in one trip because we have Cape, so blind shouldn't be a problem here.
So C-shaped house in the brewery in the village had nothing of real importance. So, because Shred did not check those before going into Thieves, but that won't end up changing anything here.
I didn't pay attention on Seastown. Is there an eye? Okay, it's a coin flip. Oh. Okay, we are now out of the script. Grab a wall, or you will still lose magic.
Oh, but just pulls it off in time. Yeah, I was worried about that magic meter dropping. And look, there's the 50-50 coin flip in the runner's favor, so that means we did not need the hammer to get that 4th item.
And after half an hour, we got the first crystal for Shred. And he also saved his red goo.
Yeah, that cape was definitely putting in some work. It is really nice that they found that ahead of time to make that fight a lot easier to do. right,
Oh,
so it looks
time to
like...
play a game.
Yeah, I was going to
Sorry.
say, Shred's going to go ahead and start doing a lot of these other checks down here, including Dig Game. That was a quick one, just 10 arrows there, so nothing too fancy. Now, I wonder if they're going to continue along and just skip the Smith chain for now.
And skip, or no, he is not skipping. He will take the Smith on a journey.
I mean, I don't mind this too much because at least once you get to the point where you're ready to save and quit, you have a flute to be able to turn in the Smith a little bit faster. So I get it. It's in logic. There could be something important there, and we have a lot of items that we're looking for still.
That's true. We can also take the Smith to Catfish if we want.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how far Shred decides to carry the Smith with him.
Okay, this was not really a hype cave.
No, that was the furthest thing from a hype cave, unfortunately. All right, there's the save and quit. So Shred will go and turn in the Smith from here, and then we'll see. You know, the biggest thing we're looking for is to see if they get into escape. Unless they get bailed out by finding the second bow somewhere in the world, that really is a big play that they're missing out on at this point.
So, Mr. Smith, now it's time to go home.
Now, just a heart container. Still, at this point, you don't want to say no to heart containers when you're on Green Mail and starting to dip some Dark World dungeons.
Here comes LPShred.
Yep, 2 checks in the shed and some knowledge. It's good to know whether or not we need that Quake medallion or not.
There's still a chance. So, what will we get here? Hey, we get a mail upgrade.
That's a very nice safety item at this point. So let's see what our requirement is. It looks like we got Bombos. So we have both of the medallions we need for Meyer and Turtle Rock at this point.
Yes, and we can also make a dip into ice if we want. And there is a chance that we can find some progression in Eastern or Pot.
And to be fair, not that I'm hoping for this one, but there could have been something in Meyer too. Opted not to go in. But that was, you know, you could still clear out a couple checks in there, but probably not a great idea. And I'm sure they want to avoid that until they get a fire source to really be able to go through more of it.
This is Skullwoods for Shred. And now the question, after the Smith, will Gumby decide to check the shovel or not? This
looks
will
like
be...
Gumby's gonna do what we've been wondering about, probably popping an Eastern here, which is good because it's if he knows the dark rooms, it's beatable. And let's see if there's some good progression inside here because we've been wondering about this one for a while now.
Also new check big key chest in Skull Woods. We haven't seen it on Gumby's side.
Well, so far just 20 rupees in the first chest of Eastern, so Gumby is going to keep on pushing through, and let's see if we can get these other 2 items out of here.
Other fun fact, we found a vanilla big key in Skull Woods.
So, interesting about Eastern, the big key is vanilla in the antifairy chest, which means we're not going to be finding a lamp in here because it's locked behind lamp. So let's see what we end up getting in the big chest and then on the boss, because there's still 2 items to go. Both the map and compass were found.
So we got a small key. Yes, vanilla big key as we told.
Looks like we got a lot of people in chat calling for this lamp to show up in Ice Palace. That is quite a location for it, but they do have access to go in and do some checks in there for sure.
Also, a hammer can be found in ice. It would not be the first time. Nicely done. Really nicely done here. And on Shred's side, this could be catfish into pot.
Yeah, and I don't think we saw the pyramid ledge item yet either, if I remember correctly.
We haven't seen it yet. We got another ragu on catfish.
And just some bombs from Armos, so it's a crystal, so it's good to have Eastern done, but it didn't really produce anything that was helpful at this point.
This is crystal number 2 for Gumby. And he will have found now his blue mail in LPShred. And he will also get the information that he got the medallion for Miss Maya.
Unfortunately, just 10 arrows on the pyramid, so that's not the answer either. So yeah, it looks like Shred's gonna head down towards Pod. You know, I think it's a great move, but it's a better move for Gumby at this point because Gumby actually has a bow. Let's see how much Shred's gonna be able to do in here. It's possible they can get bow locked out here pretty quick, but maybe not. Maybe there's something here.
Yeah, we will see. Okay, 10 bombs on Shovel. Not 10 bombs, 3 bombs, sorry.
Yeah, chat making a good point. If Shred's comfortable with potion unlock or doing any type of clipping, very possible that we can end up seeing additional items in here. So let's see where they're at with some of these glitches and what they get done.
I mean, we got 2 Ragus, so I see there a chance for doing potion camera unlock here. Hello, lamp.
Well, there's our... Of course it's in Pod. Didn't you all have the first chest in Pod as your bets on this one?
So, Shred, what will you do now?
Well, and this actually could be really good for Shred because if they're talking about doing that Aga play now, it might get them into the rest of Escape and they might be able to find their bow before they actually go up, which would be a blessing in disguise there for him. He won't even know that it's there. So that would be a really good play at this point if that's what they decide to do.
Now he will check the shovel. The question is, what will Gumby do after finding the lab? Will he go deeper into pot?
I mean, I feel like if I was Gumby, I would probably want to do that because you guarantee yourself that you've got some other checks you could do behind bow that you know are in logic for you, and who knows, that hammer can be sitting in there. It looks like we just had bombs at the dig spot, so let's see if Shred ends up going to that castle play. They're heading in that direction, so we'll see.
Yes, I also think this will be Castle Tower right now.
Well, I'm hoping that they decide to clear out the rest of the front before they climb the tower, because that'll obviously be a big help, so let's see if that's what they do. I think because it looks like they're taking some damage. Yep, they're going to prepare to do a death warp. So this is going to be huge because Shred will be able to get that bow, and that's going to be a pretty significant boost to what they're going to be able to do here.
I mean, and for Shred, it's a bit harder to set up death warp because he is right now on blue mail. Gumby was on green mail. And the thing is, and there is a knowledge advantage for Shred here. He knows about the rod on Lumberjack. Gumby doesn't have that information.
Yeah, that is definitely something that is in Shred's favor. and could mean a big difference in terms of how this seed plays out. And there's that bow for Shred, so now that probably answers a few questions that they had in their head, because that puts Eastern completely in logic for them, and a little bit more of Pod until we know where that hammer is.
So talking about go deeper in a dungeon, Gumby will do it, he got a bow, so everything expect of the boss is right now in logic for him.
Yeah, and it's Pod. We know there's probably something else of importance here. Not a guarantee, but it's Pod with a total of 5 items in here, one of them being that lamp. I won't be surprised to see something else very helpful show up at some point soon. There's the Death Warp from Shred. Let's see, are they going to go for... Oh, they are going to go for Dark Cross first before they do that climb. I mean, makes sense. You have the lamp, you're going to get to it very quickly, and then probably Death Warp out of there one more time before going up Aga Tower.
Talking about Death Warping, we are now up to 10 hearts. And it takes now a while to set up a Death Warp here, but with the spikes it's not a problem, they dealing true damage, you will always get 1 heart loss from them.
Yeah, Blue Mail, the blessing and curse, depending on exactly what you're trying to do in the seed.
Yeah.
Small key for a small key. And hella big key.
Unfortunately, I don't know the bomb jump. Make it faster.
All right, so Gumby's heading to the back where the party is and Pod. Let's see what we end up getting back here.
So the only thing you don't want to see here in the dark queue is another small key. Okay, here it is.
And a map, so we're still going to be looking for a little while. But there should be something down here to grab in Harmless Hellway, and then we got the whole maze to take a look at. Oh, there's the mirror. That's a great item to find right now because that will take us right out of here after opening up the big chest. Don't really need to do the bomb jump if you're not familiar with it. And that's just a nice item for routing. So we were thinking there could be a mirrorless seed, but that won't be the case today.
Hella Master Sword. This will make Castle Tower easier. And the mirror will also be our access to Desert.
Yeah, that's a great point. While we can get in a swamp, that's a pendant, though I'm sure that's not really too attractive of an offer right now for our runners. But Desert being a crystal, that would definitely be a destination I would want to go to and get done.
Absolutely.
And I think Gumby heard you, because that looks like that's exactly where he's going. Because with no hammer, we can't finish pod. But we could check Checkerboard Cave here and go into Desert, and that is a beatable dungeon.
Three bombs on Checkerboard Cave. So there was a small key on Desert Ledge.
So it looks like our big key's right side, huh?
Yes, it is, and this will mean Desert is boots locked. But it doesn't matter. We got early boots on Dark Death Mountain. Death Mountain.
Well, a heart container is our first item, and so then we're going to get the big key here, and then the question is, do we go to the big chest or take a shot and to see whether or not that last item is on Lammo? Well, first, we're going to get some fairies and heal up. Not a bad play from Gumby. He was down to about 3.5 hearts.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I guess at that point, if you're going to come back in, you might as well just go ahead and check the big chest and see if this is it. Then if not, we're going to have to kill Lammo anyway, so let's see what we get.
And with the second sword and mirror in our hand, this will mean we will get Tempered Sword on Speckrock.
Good point. I actually forgot that that sword was there, so that is a good thing for them to go back to at some point. I mean, really, at this point, there's nothing really bringing you up to Death Mountain until they're ready to do Turtle Rock. So it could be something they just grab on the way, or if they find Tempered Sword elsewhere, depending on their comfort level, they might not get that. So while Gumby's doing the Lammo fight, we got Shred going through and taking care of Eastern. We know Shred's not going to find anything of importance in here, but it will give them their second crystal when they're done with this, which is great. And in a moment here, Gumby, with a successful Lammo kill, will get their third.
The question is, on Gumby's side, will he ever check Lumberjack or not? We know it's important.
Yeah, and now that Gumby has all the items to, get that item and go through Aga Tower, I'm hoping at some point they'll end up over there to check that, but I don't know. I don't know how quickly we'll see that. At some point, they're going to realize that that fire rod's not showing up anywhere, and they do need to beat Skull Woods and Turtle Rock.
Now the best time to check Lumberjack is now. You got mirrors, so you can go up to Bumper Ledge, mirror there, Dashing up to Lumberjack, check the item, got the info. Oh, I need to do Castle Tower. And this will be...
Purple
This
chest.
is Purple Chest.
Which, you know, with Mirror and Flute, it is a somewhat quick check. It just, and it could still be something. We haven't seen this yet, but we know the longer it takes Gumby to get up to that Lumberjack check, the harder they're going to get roadblocked at some point in this seed. So hopefully it doesn't take too much longer. Oh, looks like Gumby's going to walk this because then they could check K45 on the way.
And from K45 you can directly flute to flute spot 7 to turn in Purple Chest.
Drew's Swamp is a pendant, so I don't think that that's ultimately where Gumby's going to go unless they just completely forget about looking at Lumberjack at some point. But yeah, because they mirrored out of there, so I don't think that's on their radar just yet. They have some other stuff that they could do first.
So what are you doing now, Gumby?
I don't think Gumby took a look inside Skullwoods at all, so I'm kind of wondering if that's where they're heading up from here.
He was there. He was in Skullwoods.
Well, unless they're using this to cut through, let's see what they're going to do here.
But he never checked a big key chest or connector chest. So now it's time for that rock. So is it fire or ice? The big question. Yeah, it's the red one. It's fire rod.
So I won't be surprised if that gets Shred to go right back to Skullwood since they're in the area. Wrap that up. And then, yeah, that looks like that's what they're going to be doing.
So next up will be Skullwoods on his side.
And now we're going to be hoping that Gumby goes up and finally checks and sees what that's this Lumberjack. They're heading in this direction. Oh, they're passing it. Probably heading to Graveyard Ledge.
And this could be really bad for Gumby.
It's all depending on what Gumby does from here. If they go back and look at it right at this point, they just jump down. They're not even checking, keeping the portal. So yeah, a little bit worried about where this seed's going to take Gumby from here.
Interesting routing, but now he will finally see his fire rod. And he knows, okay, you can't ignore Lumberjack today.
Oh yeah, that's good. He just went right for it. Good. So we should probably see Gumby go directly to Castle Tower as soon as he sees this. Yeah. All right.
Hello, fire rod. Okay, I guess he will collect Tempered Sword before doing Castle Tower. Makes absolutely sense to me. We talked earlier about it, it's your own decision, how comfortable you're feeling with the situation, and it's your decision if you want to collect another sword or not.
And knowing the other dungeons that they're going to be going into at some point soon, I mean, that certainly can make some other boss fights a little bit easier going through. So if that's something that they're more comfortable with, that's fine. Though I'm really curious as to why they're going into Hera right now as opposed to actually going to Castle Tower at this point.
We got Hookshot, we got a Fire Sword, so we can clear this dungeon, and there is a chance that we will find some progression in Hera. Just 2 items, but the progression is still alive. Or the chance for the progression.
Oh, that spark knocked him down. All right, well, at least it's only a 1-floor drop. Easy to get back up and check that other chest and then go up to Moldworm.
Right on the way to Spectral Cave, he will see this. He will see the sword, but there is actually no chance for him to get it. Looks like there is an item in basement.
Yeah, but pretty sure that there is. So let's see if Gumby goes back in. I mean, if you go in to clear out Hera, yeah, he's going to go right back in to check this item in the basement. If you're going to sink this time into it, you might as well take the extra minute or so to make sure that there isn't something important in that basement.
What are you doing?
Gumby just having a little challenge with coffee break here. And I think let's see, they're going to go for it one more time. Maybe not. No, I think they're just going to dodge the tiles at this point. I think we've all been there and done that at some point.
Another option to do here, coffee break, one-handed, is turn on your cape, grab the wall, and you're safe.
Yeah, it's the best strat that's easy to forget in a moment of panic like that, but it would have certainly helped. Oh my goodness.
Good choice. Really, really good choice here.
Man, the pendant Hera dip pays off huge for Gumby. That's quite a find.
This is really huge.
And now it looks like Gumby is going to go and collect, do the Castle Tower to collect their fire route, or at least be able to grab it when they're ready for it. But man, that is such a great find with that hammer. So now we're going to be waiting to see when Shred decides to go and do Hera, let alone not just Hera, but Hera basement on top of it.
So this will mean Mirror is required to get access to Hera to find your hammer.
Yeah, so much for that mirror not required seed that we thought we might be seeing, huh?
So with the Yes, this was the wrong spot, Gumby. And now the question is, will Shred go back to pot? We know there is a second sword, there is another sword for him. We know there is the mirror, which is hard required to get your hammer.
Yeah, and do you remember where we found that mirror in the first place?
If I remember correctly, it was Harmless Hellway in pot.
Yep, and so that makes Pod a required double dip on top of it.
That's true.
And unfortunately for Shred, this is going to become like a triple dip because Shred had to chose to leave without having that bow at first, got that lamp, but now is going to have to go back to get that mirror in order to eventually get that hammer. So it's a pretty rough sequence of events there that Shred's going to have to figure out at some point soon.
And the good thing is for us, after playing Castle Tower, it's an easy access to pod area. Just blue to 4 goes through a portal, you're in the front of Pyramid, and you can go directly to pod.
Now we're going to finally get our first look at ice, or at least as much of ice that Shred can do. And let's see if there's anything in here. Unfortunately, depending on what Shred finds, it might kind of take them off the trail of where they actually need to go.
That's a good point. With hookshot, Pengator Room is an easy one. Hello Bicky. We have to do bomb jump here. No Samaria for Icebreaker.
And Ice Palace with just Fighter Sword can be pretty challenging. And remember, the Master Sword was also in Pod with her mirror. So really, Pod is the key to getting both the Master and a Tempered Sword at this point. So that's just going to make this a bit more of a challenging dip.
It's true, we know. You called out the support is required for hammer, is required to get a Master and Tempered Sword.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate that Shred didn't have the bow when it first got there, because then they would have been able to find all those things in the first time through. So let's hope, and maybe, you know what, let's just hope that they can, after they get through and do what they can in ice, that's the next place that they want to go to, because it'll help get them back on track.
Nice pump jump here. You need to hit the switch.
Yeah, but then also hookshotting through the fire bar is tough. That can easily knock you right in the hole like it did to Shred. I've done that before. It stinks. Gumby's about to collect their fire rod, and then we'll see what direction they choose to go in. We got Skull Woods that could be cleaned up. That probably would be one of my guesses, especially since, you know, with Tempered Sword, that certainly makes the moth fight a lot nicer.
So what do we need? We need Ice Rod, we need some Maria.
How about a heart container?
It's always nice to have, but we got one or two red goose, we got blue mail. We should be confident.
So Shred's coming up. We're gonna eventually check Ice Tea Room, and that, I believe, should be the last check that Shred needs to do before going to Cold Stare. And again, the Cold Stare, ooh, that Antifreeze, having some fun there. That Cold Stare fight with Fighter Sword is challenging, but at least there's Bamos with Fire Rod combination will make that a lot more tolerable.
You can't do Cold Stare without Hammer.
Oh, good point. Doesn't even think about that. Doesn't even have that on him. So they're done in here. So I don't know what else they're still going to be looking for, unless they still have to do some of the right side stuff. Yeah, they're going to go. But even then, what do we have? One check that they can actually do. It's going to be, yeah, the spike room, and then that's it.
We also have the keys to get access to the big key chest.
Not without Hammer, right? Because that's where the switch is on that
True.
side. So unless Samaria
True.
shows up in this check.
True. This was my fault.
Yeah, see, unfortunately, I think they're figuring out that this is it for this dungeon. There's nothing else to do here. Yep, there's the save and quit. So now let's see what decision Shred makes from here. And hopefully let's will Shred to go to pod, because that's really where they need to go here. But let's see what they do.
Red decides to do a dip into Mire.
Well, so while we know that this isn't going to lead to what we're hoping they eventually find, it would be interesting if the Cane of Samaria is in here.
Talking about possible options, it's also an option that we can find some progression in Pendant Swamp.
Yeah, that is totally in logic now, especially with that hammer from Gumby, but even without it, there could be some things locked in Swamp that would be pretty important. I mean, we do need to find an Ice Rod and that cane. We don't know where that's going to show up yet.
That's true.
So the question is, does anyone know, do we have an item on Helma, or did we find all 5 pod items at this point?
Not sure. Let me look. There is an item left.
All right, down goes Helma. Let's find out what's here. Just 20 rupees. So, Pod had plenty of stuff earlier, but nothing here on Helma that helps advance us. So let's see what's next for Gumby.
After clearing pot, red bomb is also an option right now.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be surprised if that's what Gumby's going to do immediately.
And with the castle top portal, it's a short way. No, this will be swamp.
Interesting choice, but this could be a big payoff.
Quake.
I think Shred's checked everything that they can admire. So now they gotta figure out where they're gonna go from here. Gumby just got access to Pyramid Fairy after beating Pod, so no, Gumby opted to come directly to Pendant Swamp and look around in here, which, if they find something that's required, could end up being a huge, big decision. But time will tell. So far, they gotta do a lot more clearing in here before we know.
Looks like Shred is not sure what he should do next.
So it looks like Shred's going to be maybe heading towards Skull Woods, because I'm not sure what else back here they haven't cleared at this point. No, they're heading back down towards the Village of Outcasts.
I think this will be his way back to pot.
Ah, that's fair, but I was surprised by that because they could have just taken the portal over by the castle because they beat Aga 1. But that's fine. This will get them there too, just a little bit longer.
Yeah, but the next thing is you're in a tournament, you're in a race, you also got a restream, you're nervous, and you are not always thinking about what is the fastest way.
Very true. Now, down goes Argus on Gumby's side. Just a piece of heart there. It doesn't look like we've gotten anything significant out of there yet, but there might be some more items on left side. So let's see if Gumby wants to commit to this or if they want to check something else.
Now, how many items in Swamp left? There are 2 items left.
Yeah, with 2 left, I could see where just taking the gamble on left side is, yeah, if there's only 1, maybe you leave, but let's see if this pays off. Yeah, like Zaxxer Tracker said, oops, all dungeons. It'll be interesting to see because, you know, we can't see what's on PED. We don't know where the book is yet. And while we did see a lot of Ice Palace, we didn't see it fully cleared. And that is our green pendant. So who knows? We still got a few puzzle pieces that are missing.
Yeah, that's the point. Ice Rod can be on pet.
Let's see what we got. Just a map on the left side. And just a heart piece. Okay. So Swamp looks like it was a big bust. So unless there is something required on pedestal that might have not been required, we'll see.
And Gumby is only 1 dungeon from pet away.
Yeah, and I think Gumby's gonna get this bomb and go to Pyramid Fairy, which is what I was kind of hoping to see right after Pod. But I get it, you're here. 6 items in Swamp was worth taking the risk to see if something's there to them, and now let's see if this is part of our answer.
So time for Pyramid Fairy.
Well,
Hello, Silvers.
yeah, I mean, that's a great item to find. It's not the answer we were looking for, but we'll certainly take them. That is true. That is a vanilla silver arrow, because normally the fairy gives them to you there. So now what are we going to do? So, well, the big difference here is Gumby's going to go into ice. Now, we knew that Shred didn't find anything, but Gumby can fully clear this dungeon, which will give the green pendant and access to pedestal. So I'm really can't wait to see if we really have this trolley of a seed overall here.
And Shred finally found his mirror, also his Master Sword.
Yeah, I'm sure that is a very welcome upgrade for Shred after being on Fighter for a very long time.
That's true. Well done here.
Yeah, Shred doing a good thing, getting another crystal dungeon cleared out, going to desert. We know, of course, this isn't going to give them any progression from here, but it is still good to get this one out of the way. That's going to be the hard part now. When are we going to see Shred make the play to go to Pendant Hera and clear out the basement? Because we know that that's the next big step in progression, which, man, it's such a hard decision to make, but I think they're going to probably exhaust a lot of their checks soon because they have cleared out so many other things. So maybe after Desert, we'll see that mountain play again.
Yeah, and we know Mountain, especially Hero, is hard required.
And Keith McRocks, you're right. That sword being on Spec Rock, Shred saw that, knows it's there. You know, at some point might just want to go up and get tempered and say, "All right, I'm going to dip Hera while I'm there." And I think that's kind of what Gumby did, and it just ended up paying off big time. All right, so now
finally,
we're
sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say we will get 2 new checks here in Ice.
That's exactly what I was gonna say too. And the first one was just a map. So let's see if the big key chest gives us anything. What an awful place for that.
Hello, Samaria.
Samaria on the other side of Icebreaker is absolutely a slap in the face spot to put that, isn't it, everyone? Oh, that is just amazing. Yeah, I get the wanting to just leave Ice Palace once you get that item, but I can also see the... Well, I've already got 2 of the pendant dungeons. This is a green pendant, and we're still going to be on this Ice Rod hunt. So, I guess they might end up finishing this out, and who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, finishing Ice keeps also the option to pull the pet if required.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I totally get the leaving because, oh, I can do Mire right now, but I also, like, you're this deep in the dungeon. Is it worth just going down, killing Cold Stare, and then hope that you never have to check these things? Because I'm going to guess Gumby's just going to go to Mire after this and chase that first, which probably was the better decision, but then we'll go from there.
Nicely done with codes there.
Yep, and
Piece of art.
Shred finished up Desert, so they've got, what, 4 crystals now? And looks like we got 5 and all 3 pendants on Gumby's side. So let's see what decisions we're going to make from here. Like I said, I'm hoping we just do the Mire check, and then we can see some cleanup after that, but let's see what Gumby does.
Will he check green pendant? No, this is Maya Blay.
Yeah, and I like that. Get into Mire. That's your crystal dungeon. Check the 2 items in here first, and then if you still don't have it, you know you've got a lot of options on the table. Meanwhile, Shred doesn't know it, but they're doing the right thing by going independent Hera, and hopefully they make the decision to clear out the basement. But like I said, at this point, I think they have to check all their things because they're starting to get pretty low on logic access to stuff. So they're probably going to fully clear this out.
Decides to go the vanilla way to the big chest here in Hera.
Yep, now time to go up and kill Moldworm. You're going to get the disappointment that there's going to be an item in the basement, but it is quite the item once they finally pick it up.
And I'm pretty sure Shred is happy with his temper sword.
Yeah, for sure. Always good to get up to tempered level. It'll make the end game a lot better. And then hopefully, Trolldorm striking again.
Second round goes to Shred. And yes, he goes back to basement to find his hammer.
Good. This will probably answer basically all his questions and probably had the seed. Where am I supposed to go next? And then this will help unlock quite a few things for them. Of course, the worst part about this is that now they really went and cleared out a whole bunch of ice. How quickly do they go back to Ice Palace?
The next big thing.
Yeah, and have to go all the way around because it's Samaria behind that icebreaker spot. It's just such a brutal thing after you've already dipped that dungeon once. So it's another one of those. It's kind of like the pod scenario that we just had with Shred too. You have to somehow convince yourself to go back, and that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Samaria and Ice, big key chest, it's like, you want to do Icebreaker? Here, you got the Samaria. Right on the spot where you do it normally.
Yeah, it's a rude location for that item. Well, as I anticipated, Shred going to pod, going to wrap this up. There is one item in there. We know it's only $20, but at least it could wrap up this crystal and be done with this area. So here we're looking at another seed that's turning into an ice rod hunt. We gotta love those. So we obviously have all the checks in Turtle Rock. There's a handful of other places. There's a lot of a chat about the green pendant or pendant turn in, and whether or not that ends up being an answer or not. Where are we hoping to find this? I also see powder as a suggestion, so magic bat. Where are we hoping to find this thing? Or what are some of the scenarios that some of you are hoping for just to really make this seed even more fun than it's been?
Yeah, talking about optional, just take a look on Gumby's tracker. I mean, there is hammer packs left, spike cave, green pendant, and also powder. I mean, Gumby have powder, so it's an option for him. So will this be will this be pet?
Well, I mean, this isn't a bad spot to start if you're gonna just kind of route in some of these other places, like route in Magic Bat and possibly the Hammer Pegs from here. If those haven't been done by Gumby, you're kind of in the same area. So knock this out, then head down to the village and do those, or maybe he's got some other ideas. Let's find out. This is a nice blind pull since we don't have book.
So what is on pet?
The dream is dead. Just 3 bombs. I was hoping for the book. I don't know about you guys, but that would have been rude.
But at the end, it was a blue item. It was wrong, but it was blue.
Gumby's going to go for the green pendant play now, so we're going to find out whether or not these plays into finishing up Cold Stare or even going into was worth it at all.
We'll see. Nope. Piece of art.
So now we're going to see, is Gumby going to do some of these other checks? It looks like that's a yes. I kind of feel like this is where you have to really decide whether or not you want to gamble. Do you just say, you know what, I'm going to go for Turtle Rock, and if it's not there, fine. I at least did the density play and tried for it. It's hard because you feel the pressure in these situations on whether or not that's the right choice or not. But it looks like we're going to see Hammer Pegs and probably Magic Bat since we're right here. And meanwhile, it looks like Shred's going into Swamp, and we know that this isn't the right play, but with the item density, I can't blame them on the decision.
That's what I just say. For him, it feels I mean, he feels bad, and yeah, on this point, okay, I know I'm looking for 2 items for go mode. I got 6 items in here, and there is a chance to find them. So what is a magic bet? 20 bucks.
Yeah, so unfortunately, striking out so far.
Will he play Spy Cave or will he go directly into TR?
Oh, we're heading up, so it might be a Spike Cave play.
Yes, this is Spy Cave.
I'm calling out Zaxo Tracker for saying book on laser bridge, rod on tablet. That's an awful combination of things that I hope is not true for these guys. They've suffered enough. It's funny though, but I hope it's not that bad. All right, so with Gumby going back up on Death Mountain, this looks like we might be heading towards Total Rock at this point, which I won't be surprised that it's just sitting inside somewhere.
Must be TR. The only thing that is left on Gumby's side when I take a look on his tracker.
Okay, then that makes sense. I wasn't sure if he had any more overworld checks at this point, but yeah, it's been pretty much a completionist seed for Gumby for sure. You know, and it's kind of amazing. I'm sure Gumby probably feels like they're really far behind right now just because of not having this ice rod and doing all the pendant dungeons and stuff like that. But obviously, because they have Samari in their hand, they're not. But I'm sure that there's a little bit of a panic at that moment because you're at 144, you still have a full dungeon to go. You're actually missing an item still, but you know it's got to be here. But this has just been such a crazy seed because of the way that these checks have worked out and some of the double dips that were required.
Yeah, true.
And if the seed wants to throw him a bone, it'll give him the early ice rod here on the first floor just so that they don't have to worry about it, and then they can kind of just finally be in go mode and go. There
Hello,
it
Ice
is.
Rod.
All right, well that's what I was hoping that they would get an early ice rod here. Now they know they're set and they can go mow this dungeon as best as they can. Hopefully the key layout is favorable for them.
Also, Fred decides to play left side swamp. It's completely understandable. You're still looking for 2 items, you don't know where they are, and yeah, You're just gambling to find your items here.
Yeah, and again, knowing that the answer is you got to go back into ice, a dungeon that you partially cleared already, that just, it doesn't feel good because you already had to triple dip pod, and then to double dip that when you also know it's a pendant dungeon is just, it's not something you're hoping you have to do, for sure.
And we got a vanilla Bicky in TR.
And Shred gets the unfortunate news that the progression's not in Swamp. So let's see what decision they make from here. Yeah, doing a little bit of mirror cleanup. I don't blame him at this point.
Yeah, and it makes totally sense to me because it's, from his point, it's the best place to do K45. And this will be Red Bomb. But the question is, what will he do after the Red Bomb?
I mean, there's really not too many options left for Shred because they've got every dungeon finished except for Ice, Mire, which they already went in and know that they're cane locked out of there, and Turtle Rock, they're cane locked out of it. So unless they got a couple checks still, like Spike Cave and stuff like that, they might finally go back to Ice, which we know is the right answer, but it's still a tough call.
Hello, book.
Oh, hey, the book on Laser Bridge. I believe that was called out in chat.
And we got another red goo right here on Laser Bridge. And we also have found Butter Sword.
Yeah, that'd certainly make that Trinex fight a little bit faster so that we can one cycle each of the heads.
That's true.
Alright, well, Shred buys a bomb upgrade, and where they must have been out or low, I didn't even see their count, but they're going back into ice, which we know is the right play. And so let's hope that once they find their Samaria, they just get out of here, because we know that nothing else after that is going to be of worth.
Okay, thanks to the chat. Shred was down to one bomb.
Yeah, that's a good heads up play then to get that, just to go ahead and buy that while you're there, because you know you still have to go through and do the bomb jump route. So that's good coaching there. Great job. All right. Well, Gumby's on his way to GT, so are we playing our guessing game? How many checks until we find that big key?
Take my number 14.
Take a guess, 1 through 22. After everything in this seed, please don't guess 22. Drew, you did it. I just saw it. I was gonna say don't guess 22. That's just mean at this point. It's probably true. If there's gonna happen, it's gonna be a seed like this. Yeah.
It's get a small key so we can play full right here.
Yeah, not in the first 2 chucks. Or is it check 3? No. Not in 4.
But we got a vanilla compass.
Number 6. Scanler, you win.
GG's.
And Gumby with a good heads up, realizing that he needs a small key, so he's going to make sure he grabs the one under the pot here before heading upstairs. And there it is, the Canis Samaria for Shred. And, you know, because of that ice rod missing, unfortunately, they're going to keep going in ice, though we know, unfortunately, it's not going to end up being the decision that's going to help them.
I was supposed to say, please go away from that mirror.
Gumby wanted to have nothing to do with those red Stelphos and just bombos the room, and now we're gonna go through the rest of this gauntlet. Good couple rooms here. I guess the nice thing about getting that green potion on the torch is that you don't need to be conservative with your magic, because you know you have a refill sitting there. Nice Slammo 2 on Gumby's side. And a nice cold stare kill from Shred. Now they'll go and finish up Meyer. And then are they going to end up checking all the rest of the things for that Ice Rod? Probably before going up on Death Mountain, but we'll see what call they make once they get through Vitreous here.
Question is, will Shred go after Maya directly to DR? We know it's the best decision.
It is, but at this point, do they just have the green pendant turn in and pedestal the check, or do they have some other stuff too? I don't know if you have their tracker up, but yeah, big shout out to anyone who's still up at 3 a.m. running this, including Phoenix, my co-commentator here.
I trust you asked me about possible checks for Shred. There are a few left, like hammer packs, like powder, green pennant, pet.
So they're in a very similar spot to what Gumby was in at this point. Well, Gumby's through Moldworm 2 and about to get up into the Aga 2 fight, so let's see how that does. And yes, I noticed he shot a silver at Validation Chest. I guess he had enough of that. That was a rude start to the Aga 2 fight. You gotta love it when they spread themselves out without a really good chance to set something up.
Why no spins? Would it make a bit easier?
Got a nice triple to finish it off, though.
Got red go, he got green go, so he is good to go.
Yeah, I'm sure if they've checked the time and see that no one's finished, I'm sure they're a little bit worried about that, but he's got plenty of time here, so hopefully he just takes it easy and just has a solid Ganon fight here. Have your cape up. I was gonna say, make sure we use it. We don't need to get sniped there.
There is no green go left for Gumby.
Ooh, the fire bats are ruining him a little bit, but hopefully with silvers, having no green goo shouldn't be an issue at this point. And Shred's about to get their unfortunate news that pedestal's not the answer. Gumby needs to be careful with that magic consumption.
Yes. One hit left. Here it is.
And there it is. Woo, that was getting real tight there. But GG's for Gumby, who will pull that off just a little over that 2-hour mark. What a seed.
GG's to Gumby. He finished with an official time of 2 hours and 58 seconds.
Meanwhile, we see Shred heading up the mountain, gonna go into Turtle Rock, and they will be getting their ice rod very soon, and we'll finally be in go mode. This was one slog of a seed. All right, and there it is. Shred is finally officially in go mode and can wrap up Turtle Rock and then GT.
You need to grab the vanilla big key.
And it looks like we'll have Gumby joining us for an interview in just a moment here.
Thankfully we've got powder, so we can turn in anti-fairies into normal fairies. Will give us some hearts back. You don't have the big key. Here we go. I mean, what I'm doing on my tractor is I always let me show all keys, big keys and small key. This helps me to keep an overview. Will I have big key or not? Or for Hype Castle's example, did I have collected the small key or not? It's a quick look and can be helpful.
Yeah, especially in a dungeon like Turtle Rock when you're in go mode, because getting that big key early will help you know whether or not you can steal the key from the pokey. In this case, that wasn't going to be possible. And we also know that this is going to be a safe route here because that big chest just contained a compass. So Shred's going to be able to get the keys that they need to be able to finish this dungeon.
I mean, for another example, to keep an overview over my keys, best example here is Skull Woods. Logically, modular is locked behind 3 small keys, and when I know, okay, one item is missing, and I only have collected 2 small keys, I know the last item must be on modular, because the last small key is under the bridge in the back.
Shred unfortunately taking the scenic route through the maze here, but they got back on track. So Shred's going to take the safety door down here, which is fine, but when you have your actual safeties that you could use with half magic, I mean, I guess if you're worried about the Trinex fight, but once they see that butter sword, there's not going to be much of a worry there at that point.
Also with Tempered Sword, it's an easy one.
Oh, but they skipped it. They grabbed the small key, grabbed the potion, and then took off. So unfortunately, they're going to miss their butter on Laser Bridge there.
Yeah, but in the end, it doesn't make a really big difference on Ganon.
No, it should be fine. But it is definitely one thing to... It's an oops there, but that's okay. Yeah, I totally agree, Zach. If that was if they were still on Master, then that would be much different. But being on Tempered Sword is pretty safe, I would believe, for most runners.
I mean, I also talked about to my mentor about this, about swords. Fighter and Master Sword are progressive items, Tempered, Gold Sword are comfort items. But on this point, we are on Tempered Sword, so we should be good to go.
Well, and now we're going to see what Shred does in GT. We know that the right side... Okay, the right side is where the answer is, so we'll see which way they go. And Gumby, GG's.
Howdy, howdy. Thank you, thank you. Ah, that was a seed. You know, if you guys wanted us to race all dungeons, you could have just rolled all dungeon seeds.
It kind of felt like that, didn't it?
I think every race I've done has either been all dungeons or very nearly all dungeons.
Well, I tell you, the key, I think, early on in this seed, and there's no way we saw it kind of play out. Your early play into escape to get that bow and being able to do more in pod the first time you got in was really the big difference, because Shred got into pod before you, had the lamp, didn't have a bow, opted to leave, and it took a long time to get back there. Even with the knowledge that the fire rod was at Lumberjack, Shred had that well before you, but because you were able to go back and get your mirror and get a sword from back there, it just put you on a path that kind of kept you ahead for a good portion of it. Even though you probably didn't feel like you were for a while, because it was feeling like a full clear.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I didn't feel behind or potentially behind until I left the mountain without checking Spike Cave, because I was so excited to find the hammer in Hera. And like the whole time I was like, what if Spike Cave has Samaria or the Ice Rod? And, you know, Mormasil was just like, hey, we just have to play like it's not there. You left it. It's not worth going back. And then once we got Samaria out of Ice, he was like, let's gamble in Turtle Rock. And I was like, no, we have all the pendants. We have to do a blind ped pull.
Well, of course, that makes it fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun to watch because it felt like every single time an item was just in a pretty awful spot. Like that's an awful spot for Samaria.
And then Hammer being in Hera basement, and I can't remember where the lamp was, but that was in a terrible spot too.
The first check of pod.
Yeah,
Sugar room.
That's right.
It was shooter room pot.
Yeah. So it just, like you said, it just felt like everything was just in an awful spot. But it's over, and now I get to relax for a week and a half or half a week, because I don't have another race coming up until we get our new pairings on Sunday. Definitely.
That hammer pull in Hera basement, because when we saw you going into Hera, we're like, I'm like, you pendant Hera. All right, you're up here. You grab tempered. Sure, let's check it out. Man, when you pulled the hammer out of there, we're just like, oh, this is a game changer. That was pretty great.
So that was actually a mistake, because I was escorting the chest, and the plan was we were going to do chest into swamp. And after I checked south of Grove, Cape 44, I fluted, and he was like, "Whoa, no, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I did it. Let's go get the tempered sword and check Hera, and then the rest of the bosses will be easier."
Well, the greatest mistake of the seed, I guess, because that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 100% a mistake, and it just worked out.
I just wanted to say, even if it was a mistake, it worked really well for you, because you found the hammer, and this also gave us the info, okay, double the pot is required.
Yeah, because we needed fire to get the hammer.
Well, and the mirror was in Harmless Hellway, so you had no other way to Hera besides using the mirror, and then you had to get the hammer out of there to go back to pod to beat it. So you didn't have a choice. It was kind of both items were really locking you there.
Yeah.
Your mentor is catching it up. What happened there on Hera basement in the tile room?
Oh, yeah. Me being dumb and dropping multiple bombs and trying to get the switch right, and then giving up and just playing dodgeball. That was he was laughing the whole time.
We might have been chuckling a little bit too, because we just every single time you dropped the bomb, you had already hit the switch, and so it set it back to the upstate. We're like, okay, what are you doing? So it was definitely entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, an alternate is take your cape, turn your cape on, grab the wall, and it's an alternate for the cover break.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I've wasted enough resources, and I know that grabbing the wall makes you not use magic, but I was just done with my playing poorly at that moment, and I was like, I'm just gonna play dodgeball and relax.
By the third or fourth bomb, I would have been in panic mode for a second there too, going, what am I doing? So, yeah, I get it.
I am a little sad that you only captured my gameplay. Like, my tortoise was chilling on the stream. I think like right before I started playing, he charged the camera.
We'll have to catch all that on your VOD. That's pretty good.
I was worried coming into this race though, because I was looking at the standings and LP had, it was number 2, and I was like, because he beat one opponent by 15 minutes and the other by like 14:30 or something like that. Like, he was killing it.
Yeah, it just took a seed where, I mean, like I said, because didn't have the bow going to pod, it turned it into a triple dip. And it took a long time for your opponent to get back into pod. because they just started checking a lot of other
Everything.
things.
Yeah.
And they double dipped ice without the hammer, which means they couldn't get Samaria the first.
Yeah, that
well,
was the other thing. My mentor was saying was if he didn't get that hammer, and we know that the Samaria was hammer locked, that I may not be as far behind as I feel.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Because just a little bit later to the hammer than you were, and then but did the ice dip ahead of time. And again, it's like, okay, you got to force yourself to go back to pod to check those items. You got to force yourself to go back into ice for for a couple items that were left in there because they already cleared out most of it. Yeah, and it's just hard to convince yourself to do that when they still had swamp on the table. So
yeah,
you both pulled ped. So it's you both basically full cleared this game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my map now, the only things I didn't get were stuff in GT, the 2 book items, and Mimic Cave.
There was a lot of chatter about hoping that the book would somehow be in Turtle Rock and then lead to the ice rod elsewhere. Luckily, you found the ice rod early, and then when the book did end up being on Laser Bridge, which was one of the predictions, I called out someone for that one.
Yeah, when we were going down Laser Bridge, and it was like, oh look, there's my gold sword. Oh look, there's the book. Oh look, there's.
But yeah, GG's on a pretty challenging seed. The other fun part was right in the beginning. Yeah, I'm calling out Zach's. Our tracker is the one who actually called that out. But the opening when you guys also had to go and get to Paradox Cave on 3 hearts.
Oh yeah, and I just got bombarded. You
got bombarded. So your opponent got bombarded a couple times. Like that was just the dead rocks and the cabbages were just being brutal.
And there was nothing there, right? It was just all money. Like we were talking about how much we were just finding nothing but money everywhere. Moldorm Cave had nothing. Paradox was Moldorm that had nothing but money.
Yeah, Moldorm was bad. Hype Cave was bad, I think. But Paradox had some good stuff in it.
The real Hype Cave today was Paradox. We found half magic, boots, and mitts.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. And that was another thing is when we found the mitts, we were briefly discussed doing Super Bunny Cave, but we were like, it's out of logic. We need to find in logic stuff to progress because there's so little open.
Yeah, and that was where we saw some divergence early on because LP did have the Moon Pearl by the time they finally got to Paradox, because after they died a couple times up there, they kind of went elsewhere, got the Moon Pearl out of Saha's closet, and then they were able to do those checks while they were up there, but that didn't really amount to much. But yeah, you guys just kind of were doing a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of divergence right after CAC, and so it was fun to watch because we were just kind of going back and forth and seeing who's doing what, especially once, because you guys both had that flute, so that made it easy just to do whatever you felt like doing at that point.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the early bow being a useful thing, like compared to my opponent. It was just like, oh, I have my bow, nice, and moved on with my life,
Yep. Shred jumped in Ganon. Let's finish this one strong.
He should be good to go. He got a blue goo, red goo, and a green goo.
using those cape strats on phase 2, knocking that out pretty quick. So, looking pretty good.
Phase 3. Will he go for Torch Glitch? Looks like.
Yeah, Mr. Angry Pants making a good point that in phase 2, when Ganon's in that upper right, you can do spins above them, get quite a few of them, and make phase 2 go by real fast. It's especially great if you're doing a Master Sword fight, but untempered, you can easily end phase 2 very fast.
Nicely done here. And finally, also Shred finished the seed.
Get your GGs in chat. Yeah, that is one that'll be fun to go back and look at. I'll tell you.
I plan to rewatch the recast because I always like to watch the recasts when I'm part of it because it's interesting to see their decisions versus mine. You know.
Yeah, Zach said it well. This seed is nobody's friend. I mean, that's true. They're just when you get one item that's in a rough spot, it can make it tough. When you get like 3 or 4 of them, that just it makes it a little grueling. But you guys did a good job with this one, considering item placements for sure.
Hello, Shred, and also GG's to you.
Thank you.
GG's.
Yeah. Yeah, GG's all around. Whew.
So take us, how did you feel about this one? Because we were it was fun to watch, but man, there was a few locations that were fun, weren't there?
It's all just a blur right now. I think, I had a couple early deaths on my way up Death Mountain. Did not have me feeling great, but yeah, just not getting back to pod. Once we had the bow, I think that was our kind of what did us in here. But kind of eventually, I was like, it was like we're gonna make a pedestal. I think if this is a ped seed, it's about the only way I'm gonna save it. So, yeah, it was tough. We just keep coming up nothing. Not even money to go do Zora for a while there. So, I'm okay with my execution on this one, but sometimes your routing choices don't always work out for you. But
yeah, it was a challenge, and unfortunately, because you just didn't have that bow out of escape, it forced you to do that triple dip and pod, and that was rough because pod was the key to finally getting that hammer, which then not having that when you went to ice early, you unfortunately weren't able to get Samaria. So it was just this weird perfect storm of unfortunate events that just kind of pulled you a little bit behind. But hey, great job finishing this one, because it definitely had some tricky item locations, and you guys played a great race.
Yeah, I told the Tansy, I was like, if Ice Rod's not in here, I'm out. So getting that was at least something was somewhere convenient for me. So
yeah, I'm glad the seed at least gave it to you in the first couple checks. That way you could feel a little bit better about that. Phoenix, anything from you?
Yeah, Shred, why the decision to go to bot so late?
It was really just an oversight on our part. Is really all I can say. Both of us were kind of looking at some other checks. Yeah, we were talking kind of as once we were in go mode that's if we had this one to do over, that was the move to make. Fortunately, not a good answer there.
So yeah, but I would guess everything is set so far.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I would guess everything is set, or has anybody anything left?
I just want to say GG on the completion LP, and
yep, GG to you as well.
I was really worried coming into the seed, seeing your times against your opponents.
Yeah, it was. We've had some some good luck routing in some quick seeds. I was the same way, checking out your time. So GG, this was a very tough seed. I remember I was kind of glancing over at the race channel and just, it's hour 40, hour 50. I was like, maybe he's in a tough spot too, And finally, I glanced over and saw you finish. And honestly, that was a little bit of a sigh of relief for me. So, but yeah, excellent job. This was a tough one, sticking with it. Whole lot of nothing. I don't know when you finally found your master sword, but it was a while for me.
So yeah, also GG from me to you both guys. Wishing you all the best for the next rounds. And I will give the last words to you, Emok.
All right, thank you. Well, GG's. Thank you, Phoenix, for being on comms with me. This was a lot of fun. And Zax for tracking and restream from Secretly a Silver. Appreciate everything here, guys. And make sure you follow these runners, guys. They put on one heck of a show on a pretty challenging seed here. Gumby and LPShred, thank you very much for a great race tonight. And good luck in the future rounds.
Yep, thanks for the restream, and take care. Good night, everybody.